Look, I have long been involved or observed, and I guess they were, in some ways, the original cookers, the original anti-vaxxers in New Zealand, the people who are banging on about some great conspiracy involving fluoride in our water. And this particular form of cookerism and nuttiness has taken a new lease of life with a court decision out of the United States. And to discuss this more and what impact it might be having in New Zealand, I am joined now by Dr. Robert Beaglehole, who was a spokesperson on this issue for the New Zealand Dental Association. Rob, nice to have you on the platform. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Sean.
All right, let's start with a baseline. And as I say, I've looked as a journalist at this issue a few times. There has been for some time conclusive evidence that supplementary fluoride in drinking water supplies has a very positive impact on levels of dental decay and improves dental health, correct?
Exactly, that's exactly correct, Sean.
All right. Has anything happened scientifically by way of research or evidence in recent times that undermines that fact?
That is a very good question, and the answer is that nothing has changed in terms of the evidence at all, even with the recent reports and rulings coming out from the United States. The only thing that's changed is an opinion on the evidence, not the evidence itself.
All right. Now tell us about, because this seems to be the development that the anti-fluoride cookers are sort of hanging their hats on. There's been some sort of court ruling in the United States. Where was it from and what was it about?
Well, it's very important to note that the ruling came from a district court in the Northern District of California. So it was one judge, and what the judge did was looking at some recent reports from the NTP, the National Toxicological Program, and said that...
Is that a government agency or what?
It's like a government agency. It's a program of one of the different types of ministry departments over there.
Yeah.
But it's very important to note that the judge did not conclude that the current fluoride levels are causing low IQ. So it's interesting that...
So the judge said there was a possibility that having fluoride in water supplies or fluoride itself could make a population dumber.
No, the judge did not conclude that the current fluoride levels are causing lower IQ. So what the NTP report looked at fluoride levels and IQ levels in China, India, Mexico, Brazil, and a few other countries, possibly Iran, that has naturally occurring fluoride in the water. So some parts of the world, these levels are very high, like up to 14, 15 parts per million up in the northeast of India. But in New Zealand, we have the exact, we're in the opposite situation where the fluoride levels that occur naturally in New Zealand are very, very low. So what we're doing in New Zealand is topping it up to the ultimate level, which is about 0.7 parts per million to 1 part per million. The reports that looked into these other countries were far higher than what we use in New Zealand.
All right, so we're not comparing apples with apples.
Exactly.
The anti-fluoride nutters always claim that, I don't know, it causes everything, people to be dumb, kills people, autism, the whole lot. Is there any scientific evidence that suggests that fluoride added to water and in toothpaste at the levels that can be consumed in New Zealand poses any risk whatsoever to anyone?
There's absolutely no evidence whatsoever within New Zealand or in other countries around the world that state that at optimally fluoridated levels at 0.7 to 1 part per million, there's any impact whatsoever. It doesn't cause hair loss, it doesn't cause headaches, it doesn't cause IQ loss. So that's very clear to make. Actually, another thing, Sean, is that we don't call them anti-fluoridation nutters. We just call
I do. I'm allowed.
People.
What do you call them?
You're allowed, but I just calls them, I've got friends who are opposed to fluoride, so I just call them those opposed to water fluoridation, rather than calling them nutters, because I think
they are. They're cookers. But let's be honest, Rob. I mean, there's so you've got to say here, public facing, but come on, you in the safety of your own home.
You're Sean Plunket. You're Sean Plunket. So, but yeah,
okay, so you're just being very, very careful in case you offend any of those cookers.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Do you think, Rob, if you drew a Venn diagram, of people who believe vaccines are an evil World Economic Forum plot to make us all subservient, and people who think fluoride makes you dumber, it would all just be one circle?
Well, you also need to add the chemtrailers into that as well. So chemtrail,
right, and the chemtrails. That would all just be one big Venn diagram circle, wouldn't it?
It would be, yes. But in terms of getting back to the point is, Sean, that we need to reassure the public that there's no new evidence whatsoever that has come out to say that drinking fluoridated water in New Zealand levels has any impact on IQ, hair loss, brain cancer, anything that people are saying.
And can we quantify the level of benefit in terms of tooth cavities and tooth disease?
Oh, we sure can. We know unequivocally that tooth decay levels drop dramatically in areas that have fluoridated water than ones that don't have fluoridated water. We know that from New Zealand data, between 35 and 40% less tooth decay in kids, which is immense, and 25% less in adults. So if we could
Which is a massive saving in cost and suffering, isn't it?
Cost and suffering, pain. I'm a clinical dentist. I pull out teeth, every day I work. It's heartbreaking. We also need to know and highlight that the most common chronic disease here in New Zealand, it's not obesity, it's not cancer, it's actually tooth decay.